I was actually didn't have the focus I thought I would have in lockdown. I found it quite unsettling at times, and I have family in New York and London and Ireland. So um, for a while we were doing amazingly well here. Every time I looked at the numbers on John Hopkins University, I sort of had a little, you know, yeah, it was knowing that they were having a very different experience was hard. We had not the first Friday, but the second week, the full week we had, and we had that lockdown Friday, and it was a Friday drinks or formal Friday. I think it was Hilary Barry came up with it, and we did that. We went outside our house. It was a beautiful Wellington day, and we sat outside and we waved to people as they cycled past, or a few who did. And I have these two little Teds who I'll just show you, who sit on our bed, and I just put them out for a bit of a laugh and took some photos of them with cocktail glasses and put that up. We have a local social, Facebook page, and I put them on that just as a joke. And I think it was probably something silly, made people laugh. And so the next day I did another one when the clocks went back. And then it started on a roll. And I wrote, on the Sunday, I actually wrote a full story to go with the TEDs. And that got quite a bit of feedback. And after about the fourth day, I didn't do any, well, I had done something, I hadn't posted it. And a lady said, "Where's the TED story? I want to see the TED story." And so I started that. And then the lady messaged me and said, "I'm at home on my own. I'm not going out, obviously, because of her age. And I watched the 1 o'clock update, and then I look forward to the TED stories." So I thought, if I can get to 10 or 12. And in the end, I did 39. So I did one story every day for 39 days. This is Uncle Squirrel. As you can see, he's quite a small Ted, and he's very special. He came from my husband's aunt, who died last year. And when we went out to see her in Liverpool, she gave him to us as a parting gift and said, "Don't forget us." So can't possibly forget him. So he's sat on our bed since 2008. And he had a little friend who joined him from Puhoi. We all know lovely Puhoi, north of Auckland. And so he's Puhoi Pete. And I got him at the market there in 2012. I think it was about Christmas time, something like that. I'm still trying to find out. I'd contacted Puhoi Market to see if any of the people who made him had had no success so far. But so Squirrel's got a friend. They're great buddies.
Their routine had changed, and he realised that he didn't like change very much at all. Usually he loved lazy Sunday mornings when everyone seemed more relaxed. They would pore over the paper, reading the escape section and delighting in photos of exotic places where it never seemed to rain. They often played the game one day when we win the lottery, and then they'd laugh because they always forgot to buy tickets. Weekends used to be full of opportunities. They'd go out for brunch or coffee, and sometimes they'd drive up the coast and go for long walks, or they might drive over to the Wairarapa, and he didn't know when they'd be able to do that again.
What's your favourite story looking back, Anne, on the posts that the teddies made?
I think there were a number. For me, I've lived here a number of years. Since I came over from England. I was born in Ireland. We live across the road from where they do the Anzac Day commemorations every year. And of course, we didn't have that this year. And it's the first year that I've been here that we haven't had it. And for many people, it'll be their whole lifetime. But we went out, and the Teds got up at 6 o'clock, and we went out and we did the dawn, stand at dawn. We had some people from the RSA, and they had the radio on, and they had a wreath that they put down. And that got a lot of posts that day, because also further round near Ballinger Garden, there's a lot of white crosses, and the Teds went round and had a look at those as well. So that got a lot of feedback, and it was poignant because we didn't know then at that day, are we going to have more like this? Is this going to end? And that's the main point, I think. We didn't know every day what the next day was going to bring for us in New Zealand. I mean, it was looking very good, but we didn't know. And at that point, we were still in, obviously, level 4. So that was a favourite. The day before we went to level 3, I was obviously feeling a little bit unsettled, looking forward to it, but unsettled. And the Teds were as well. And the story was about that. And that got a huge amount of response. I think a lot of people were feeling very unsettled as well. What will this... Level 4 was very clear, and level 3 was the grey area was starting to come in.
When we spoke earlier, you said that you don't think you could write the lockdown diaries now. Why is that?
I find it hard to believe it actually happened. I think if I hadn't written those stories, I wouldn't believe it happened. We live on a main road. We live in Eastbourne, so it's not a massive main road, but there is constant traffic all the time. Buses going past, school kids being dropped off, people commuting to work. And for that 4 weeks, that first 4 weeks, there was nothing. Well, we had families cycling down the middle of the road, whole families, 3 or 4 kids and adults, right down the middle of the road. And it was so quiet. We live across the road from a school, and there is always noise there because even when the school's closed, the playing fields are open and there's cricket or football or families out there playing, or there's a playground area. And there was nothing. It was eerily silent. And so what the stories I wrote were on the day of the day. They weren't written with foresight or hindsight. And I was speaking to somebody yesterday and I said, I can't believe it actually happened. And she said she felt the same. She said, it just seems, it's great that obviously we are back to normal, a new normal. But yes, they're not the story. I couldn't write those stories now. They'd be different stories. I think there were so many different experiences. I had the weather was amazing, and the stories. The Teds mentioned the weather a lot because it was fantastic. We were so fortunate with that. If it had been rainy and wet and miserable every day, I think it'd have been really hard. But I had a good time because I did go out and walk a lot, which I love to do. There were so many different experiences. I've got friends who were working full-time at home. I've got a daughter who was working full-time at home. I had a son who was job hunting and doing Zoom interviews and actually managed to get a job and has moved to New Plymouth. So that was a great outcome for him. And he was locked down with us. The day we got to level 2 was the day he left. So there were a lot of good things that came out of it, but there were very many different experiences. And that was obvious from some of the responses that people wrote.